Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
Hi there. Joey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How
are you? Perfect.
No, I don't think it is.
Say hello.
Hello.
Say it right away. Hello.
Hello.
It's pretty good.
Okay. All right.
It's about 1
Hello,
second.
everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Joel. Just having our usual issues.
Trung Ewan is here. Hello, Trung.
Oh, wow.
Where are you from, Trung?
You gonna say some hellos this morning? I think that's a good idea.
Yes, absolutely. Want to know where Trung is from?
I don't know. Maybe they'll put it in the chat.
Tam Shepard. Hello, Tam.
Yeah.
Wooly Beck. There was a question Wooly Beck had yesterday, just as we were signing off. Do you remember it?
No.
I don't remember it.
I was like, was I supposed to? Is this a test?
I don't know. Ask it again, Wally. You asked your question just as we were signing off, and I wanted to answer it. So yeah, ask it again, please. If you remember, maybe you don't remember. Ashu Chama. Hello, Ashu.
And as we have mentioned, TJ's here, Lori's here, Lee Wilcox is here, David Sansell, Debbie Fish, of course.
Yesterday, you said someone was up that had not been here for a while, and was that Aquatic Conquest?
No, Thunder Aquatics came in the day or two ago.
Right.
We hadn't seen it. No, I had not seen Aquatic Conquest. He came in that one day, and then I don't think we've seen him in a few weeks.
I've been tracking his channel, and he's not posted anything in months.
Yeah. I mean, either he's busy or computer problems or who knows. But you know, life gets in the way sometimes of YouTube. Believe it or not.
It does indeed. Oh dear.
So
I left my phone home this morning, and I discovered it 10 minutes before we started. So of course I can't go get it and be here in time. So I'm without my phone for a while. I'll go out and get it when we're done.
I'd say sometimes that might not feel like it's a bad thing.
I know. Yeah, really.
So anyway, I've barely said any hellos in chat. So hello, Fish and Tactics.
Midnight Lobster is back. Hello, hello. You know what I need to do?
Is here.
I need to get over.
Thomas Kelly says he's in from Northern Ireland. Nice.
Get over to YouTube here.
Welcome.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah, so ENDW is, I'm in the UK, Isle of Wight.
The Isle of Wight. Nice.
Nice. Wight, nice. And, oh boy,
Andy,
there's
Andy needs a wrench.
yes, and glass
And
wants.
Andy says, nah, I'm okay.
Oh, good morning, Roman and
Well,
Celine.
Andy, now you're better than okay.
James. Oh, there's so many people. I'm scrolling and I'm missing.
The Dead
Emily.
Broke, the Dead Broke Show is in. Hello, Dead Broke
Yeah.
Show.
Paul's here. Roger. Oh boy, I think I said hi T-Bone, but hi again. I didn't.
Thomas Kelly, hi from Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland. Welcome, Thomas. Mike D, Monster Fish Gal, Fishing. Andy, Dead Broke, Monster, TJ. Wally Santana. Hello, Willie Santana.
Yeah, and Jay Oliver's.
Jay Oliver, right? D3ZM.
Mike D.
Lee
And we
Monster.
probably have missed
Chevy.
people. We apologize. Sorry, but
Nate
hello to
Hendrickson wants you to notice that Nate is green while all the rest of you guys are blue. And Nate pays for the privilege.
I was going to say, Nate is a member.
Nate is a member, that's right. Absolutely.
Yes.
There are privileges to membership, one of which is turning from blue to green. Mm-hmm. Here we go. We have a super sticker from the Dead Broke Show.
Oh,
welcome.
very nice.
Thank you so much from the Dead Broke Show.
Yes, and good morning, Tree 77.
I am gonna
Brian.
I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna block Pipe.
Well, I was wondering, and sorry,
I saw it the other day on another channel, and I thought about it. And I've got children on here.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tolerate. I've made it clear from the beginning. I do not tolerate vulgarity, and I will not. So my apologies to Pipe if he's offended, but I will not allow anyone else to be offended by overt vulgarity.
Yeah, and we do have children in here every day, so.
Lee Wilcox. Baroness Chevy, good to see you. T-Bone bought some grass, some Val, and Sword. Very nice. Good change.
Nice. So, did you want to talk about the Sera products, or do you want to go into questions? What would you like to do?
Well, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Pipe says they'll change the name now, so do you want to give them a chance to
change? That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Some of you may know a product line from Germany called Sera, S-E-R-A. I think they pronounce it Sera, actually, S-E-R-A.
That's how I pronounce it.
It's an old company. They've been around for 50 years or more, I guess. Never really paid any attention to it. Used a few of their products along the way, but again, never paid attention to it. Well, I had a rep come in yesterday, a fella named Frank. Interesting guy. He's 40-ish. His father owns a string of pet shops in Kenya, Africa, which I found particularly interesting. So he grew up in the hobby, was in Florida for a while. I think I met him about 10 years ago. He was wholesaling saltwater fish in Florida at the time. Well, for about 6 years now, he's been repping for Sera, and he is the only U.S. rep. So he travels literally all over the country promoting their product line. Well, I got him in here, and he started looking around, and his jaw dropped. And he said, "You understand what we've been doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You understand anaerobics?" I said, "Yeah. What about it?" And he said, "We have a product that it's called Florid, Florid, Floor Depot. We have a product that is to be used as a substrate under a cap of sand and provides nutrients to plants. But it works by being in an anaerobic environment. And so we do not recommend gravel, but rather sand as a cap in order to create that anaerobic layer." So I was enchanted and fascinated that there actually is a product line, albeit one from Germany, wouldn't you know it, that is doing and understands the scientific and the practical implications of precisely what I've been teaching for the last 10 years or so. So we're going to learn more about the product, and he's going to talk to the owner of the company about me and about our future plans to develop a demonstration product at a major zoo in order to be able to promote this concept and perhaps in the process promote their product. I need to try it, see how it works, what it is. I can't have any. I don't have any reason to believe it won't be effective because it's exactly what I'm doing. Has many of the same products in it that I use. So ain't that interesting? So this, of course, on the heels, on the very day that I announce I'm closing the shop, he walks in
Right.
with a product line.
That's typical, right? Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting, their food line, I'm going to check that out too. He's supposed to send me a box of products.
I like their food.
Their food line is insect based, and they use different grades of insect. They use aquatic insect. They use terrestrial insect. They have foods for reptiles. They have a turtle food. They have a wide range of foods that are designed for different types of fish and animals. So that's interesting. But perhaps other than the dirt, the other really interesting thing is they have a line of herbal products that they use that they have designed specifically for fish disease. Unfortunately, they're not available in the U.S. because of U.S. Product safety concerns having to do with the use of herbal remedies, such that it would cost them $250,000 to get approval for these products in order to be able to sell them in the U.S. And as the owner said, we're in 30 other countries I'm really not worried about the U.S. market. They're in the China market. They're in the Japanese market. They're in the Thai market. They're in, every other major market in the world except for the U.S. So we're the ones being left out by our own government from being able to use the most advanced and sophisticated and technologically and natural products containing things like garlic, for example. Isn't that interesting? So there you have it. So we'll see what comes of all that, but it comes on a very interesting day. You got a question? What do you
Well,
got?
I do. I have a question from James Handy. He says, I have a 40 breeder, sand substrate, had stem plants and Amazon swords. All was going great for about 8 months. Then all the stems died. Only swords left. Any ideas?
All the stems died. No idea. Did you pull them out and check the roots? It's possible that the roots burned out. After 8 months, it doesn't make sense that would happen, but
Right.
that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. The fact that the Amazon sword is fine says to me it's probably a water column issue and not a substrate issue. But I don't know. All of the stem plants died and none of the swords. Sword plants store more nutrients and are able to survive longer with no nutrients. It's possible, I suppose, that that they ran out of nutrients. Is that a reasonable assumption? Let's look into it a little more. We're curious to find out, what have you done about that, if anything? Have you tried to replant any stem plants? Have you tried, or do you have any non-rooting plants in the tank? Do you have floating plants that are surviving? Do you have Java fern, Java moss, any anubias, those kinds of things? Are they in the plant, in the tank, and surviving? You might, if you don't have any, you might try some and see what's going on. I guess after 8 months, my notion would be that the substrate was set up with a bare minimum of nutrition, and that it simply has run out of nutrition. Tell us what was in that substrate and how you set it up. Let's try to learn a little more about this.
So thank you, Holly, for your super chat. I just wanted to verbally thank
Yes,
you.
thank you,
And Lee, thank you, but I do miss questions, but I'm trying. There was a question earlier, actually, and I don't remember who asked it, but I believe they said they bought 2 pots of grass for their tank, and some of it was a little bit black, and they were wondering maybe what it could be, and if it was going to be a problem, that some of it was, the leaves were a little bit black.
James Handy, I think.
No, it was somebody else. James had the last question you answered. The potted grass was earlier on in the chat, and I can't go back that far, so I can't see who it was.
Okay.
They bought pots of grass for their tank, and they said some of the grass was a little bit black. I'm wondering if that's a problem, probably to plant in the tank.
Yeah, hard to say what that is. If the plant itself was black, it might have had algae on it. There might have been algae, or it might have been dead. If only a part of it was, you might clip that off and plant it. See how it does. It should be fine.
Okay.
It's not likely to be any kind of disease. Um, one never knows, of course, but I would simply remove those that discolored section of the plant it and see how it does.
Yeah, if the roots are still good, definitely give it a shot. So James came back in with a little bit more information. He said substrate had lots of mulm in it. I was using root tabs and liquid ferts. No more stem plants. Tried. Just 2 sorts.
You burned it off. It was way too much fert. You burned the roots. If you're going to use fertilizer, you use it once every 6 months, and you use it sparingly. You do not put 50 tablets in a 10-gallon tank. You maybe put 5 in a 50-gallon tank. 1 tablet per 10 gallons is a good rule of thumb, once every 6 months for root tabs. You can do 2. I would not do more than 2. Liquid fertilizer, I never used liquid fertilizer simply because it completely destroys the ability of the tank to control nitrates. It's overkill. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. The fertilizer burned the roots on the plants. Um, those are fairly shallow plants. The Amazon sword roots are deeper. They're also stronger, hardier, but chances are it may not survive either. Um, whatever
So
you're doing, don't do it again, ever,
too much of a
ever.
good thing.
Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, and
Right.
that's not always true. I just did I just did a video on diversity in which I said too much of a good thing is never a bad thing. But I was talking about biological diversity.
Okay.
There is too much, but there is no such thing as too much biodiversity. But there is such a thing as too much. And see, here it is. It's not that it's biodiverse, it's the opposite of that. It's too much monoculture, too much of one thing overwhelms everything else. And that's most apparent, most visibly apparent in the case of using fertilizers. Fertilizers, I think, are an absolutely dangerous thing to use in a fish tank. Personally, the only time I use fertilizer, and I do use Osmocote and a few other azalea fertilizers, but I mix them in with the original soil that I put down in the bottom of the tank and cap with sand. After that, I never use fertilizers. Absolutely never. I have 10-year-old tanks that are richer today than they were when they were set up, but I have never used a fertilizer. The activity of the tank, the biological activity, improves the quality of, of the substrate as time goes along. Any gardener knows that. Any gardener that nurtures and nourishes their soil with biodiversity never uses fertilizer because it throws the soil out of balance. They enrich that soil year after year by plowing back under the plant stems and so forth that have grown in it. They add other vegetable matter. They do whatever they can to create biomass in order to increase the richness and the diversity of the soil. But you never use fertilizer. Don't ever use fertilizer unless you're setting up a tank that's a pure demonstration tank that's going to be broken down in 6 months and you just want to get a boom in plant growth for a short period of time. that'll work. But after that, the plants are going to die unless you keep pumping it to them, and that'll kill them eventually anyway. So don't use fertilizer. Is unless you are a highly skilled gardener and you know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, how much you're doing. Otherwise, you're just playing Russian roulette. You're pulling the trigger, and there's likely to be a bullet in the chamber that's going to kill everything. Don't do it. Clear enough?
I think that says it all. I think that's pretty clear. I'm clear
Mrs.
on it.
Moose is here.
Yes.
Mrs. Moose, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Trung has a question. Dear Father Fish, my 5-gallon has a lot of Hydra. What should I do to remove it?
Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't like. Well, I tell you what'll get rid of it is that stop feeding it. You're probably feeding it brine shrimp, baby brine shrimp. You're putting something in there, some kind of very tiny live food that is causing an explosion in Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
It's like snails. You get an explosion in snails because there's an excess of nutrition that they're particularly fond of. Same with Hydra. There's something you're putting in the tank that is causing that explosion of Hydra. It doesn't happen all by itself. And it doesn't happen normally. It happens because you're feeding them. Stop feeding them and they'll go away. They will shrivel and die. There are some things that eat them. I can't remember what they are. Somebody will know. And I'm sure we'll be happy to post it.
Right.
But generally, that's the deal with Hydra. You can try to physically remove them, scrape them, and use a baster to suck them out. But the best thing to do is to get rid of what's causing them. And what's causing them is probably baby brine shrimp. Might be something similar, but that would be my hunch.
Yeah. All right. So we have a question from Mrs. Moose.
Could be baby, by the way.
Pardon me?
Could be baby fish. Could be like baby tetras, a very tiny baby fish.
Oh, they might not be Hydra. Okay.
Yeah, that's
gotcha.
possible.
See what you're saying. Yeah.
So it might not be a bad thing. I mean, the Hydra are a bad thing.
Right.
But it may not be that you're overfeeding. But then if you've got that kind of baby in there, you're feeding them heavily anyway, and that's what's feeding the Hydra. So they're competing. The Hydra are competing with something else in the tank that you're trying to nurture. That can be a problem.
Right.
And you want to get rid of the Hydra without getting rid of whatever it is you're trying to feed. I would move the baby fish, if that's what it is, to another tank and just clean that one out. Get rid of the Hydra that way. Try not to transfer anything over. But again, there are some things that eat them. But the problem with that is there are also those things will eat baby fish. So my hunch is you've got you're trying to grow out a baby fish population, and that's what's causing the Hydra problem. Anyway, let's go. Give us a little more information about that. That would be helpful.
Did you have something, or you want me to go with my question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So, Mrs. Moose, I had a question about the food chain of the tank. Are snails and shrimp in the same level of the food chain, or have different purposes? Is it worth having both in the tank?
That's pretty insightful, Mrs. Moose.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a good, clear answer to that. My sense is that they both do survive on the same as in the on the same level in the food chain. Um, they both eat waste product. They both eat bacteria, slime. Um, they're both microscopic feeders. Just trying to think if there's anything the snails eat, the shrimp don't eat, or the shrimp eat, the fish snails don't eat. And I really can't think of anything. Is it good to have both? Yeah, I would. Absolutely. Snails don't lay eggs, so I mean, shrimp don't lay eggs, so the snails are not going to eat the shrimp babies. They're not going to be able to catch the babies, much less eat the eggs, which the female shrimp carries around until they hatch. I think they're probably perfectly fine together. They may compete for food, would be about the only real issue. So that could be significant if you have an abundance of snails and would prefer to have an abundance of shrimp, then you might need to control the snail population in order to get the shrimp population up. That would be a consideration. Beyond that, no, I think they're fine together. Nice question, Mrs. Moose. I appreciate it. What else we got?
Oh, I'm looking. Oh, it was Richie. Okay, okay, it was Richie that had asked about that grass. So okay, sorry.
Okay.
I just saw it. I'm like, I know it. I just couldn't remember the name. Um, Fipen says, Father Fish, can you tell us about something about heater installation in the nature aquarium and also the water evaporation? Maybe how to handle the water evaporation. So how to install a heater in a natural aquarium, and I guess how you handle water evaporation.
Well, let's see. Let's start with heaters.
Okay.
When you buy a heater, buy a submersible heater. Do not buy a heater that hangs on the side of the tank, on which part of it needs to be outside the tank. Very few of those are made anymore, if any. They're pretty much all heaters are submersible. When you install the heater, do not install it vertically. Install it horizontally and install it in the bottom 2 or 3 inches of the water column, not in the top of the tank. They usually come with suction cups, so you can do that. You can attach it with the suction cups to the glass, slide it down, so it's an inch or two above the bottom of the substrate. Do not install it in the substrate. If you do, it will cook the substrate and it will become attached to the heater. It'll burn it in place in effect and form a crust, which will prevent the heater from being able to work effectively. It'll not work, basically. The reason for installing it horizontally, an inch or two above the water level, is to prevent it from being exposed to the air when the water level drops, whether it's from evaporation or from a water change. You don't want that heater being exposed to the air because it'll become overheated to the point where if it is then submerged quickly, the glass will break and it'll be destroyed. So to prevent that, install it horizontally an inch or two above the substrate. I even lay them on the bottom or tilt them slightly. Not a good idea. It's a better idea to use the suction cups. They don't always work. You may need to buy new ones. They have a kind of a half life. They don't last long.
They don't reattach well. They go on, but if you take them off, they don't seem to.
Yeah, they're
work
done.
as well.
Then.
Yeah.
So you may need to buy new ones. You may need to have use one and then save the other one if there are two, because you're going to need it later on when that one doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You only need one, really.
True.
What else? Oh, evaporation.
I want to know how you handle water evaporation, and then I'm going to read a statement. But yeah.
I keep the top of the tank covered, and I cover it as tightly as possible. I like to use glass, just a sheet of glass covering the entire top. I'll cut a notch out of one corner of the glass to let wires and air lines go through. But other than that, I've got the tank completely covered, and I get virtually no evaporation. That way, it's very, very minor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think high evaporation is good for the water, good for the tank. I think it's not good. I think it leaves too much mineralization in the water that only increases as you add water, and it causes an imbalance. You constantly fighting an imbalance in the water from excess evaporation. It seems to me that the tank is healthier with less evaporation. So, also it prevents fish from jumping out. The one negative effect is that it does not allow plants to grow immersed, and I like plants growing immersed. So, what I've done in a few tanks is build a glass box, or even invert a 10-gallon tank and set it on top of another 10-gallon tank in order to get plants immersed and keep the humidity up. Looks a little weird, but it works.
Right. Right. We have something nice here from Jack and Dan.
Yes.
It says, don't forget, we're going to be the guests on a Ohio Fish Rescue tonight, and we will be giving Father Fish a big fat shout out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jack and Dan. That'll be delightful. Certainly do appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. What a great place to visit.
Oh, yeah.
It would be delightful. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Wait, there's more. He's coming back.
That's what I have from Jack and Dan, a present.
Oh, nice.
When they visited me, look at this. Whoa, where is it? There we go.
Oh, awesome. Brought you a
Ohio Rescue T-shirt that they brought to me. Visited about a year ago. Not neat.
Very nice.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Very, very much. That's wonderful.
And you've had a lot of people, as Lee as well, giving very nice advice in the chat. Very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good.
There's always great help in the chat. There's always.
You bet. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Okay, so Sarko is new and welcome. And we'll pass out some wrenches in a little bit. But it says, hey, my valves are dying, the stem plants are fine, and the Nubius is fine, and my Java moss is fine in the aquarium. It is not dirted. I know about your channel, but it's strange. Everything else is living. So basically, looks like their rooted plants are dying, and their Anubias and Java moss, the ones that aren't rooted plants, are doing well. That's what. Yeah, stem plants. Oh no, stem plants are fine. My Anubias is fine, and my Java moss is fine. Oh no, it's all fine. Not dirty. Well, it's an established agreement. Oh, the valves are dying. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. The valves are dying. Stem plants are fine. Anubias is fine. Java moss is fine. Not dirted. Everything's fine except the valves. Now that I've messed the whole question up, that's what I've come up with.
So I answered a hypothetical, presumably.
Right.
Well, okay. Um, you might try dirting that substrate, and there's a way to do it. If you reduce the water level all the way down to the sand, then you can move the sand back, half of it, put some dirt in, recap it with the sand, do the same thing on the other side, put an additional half inch to an inch of sand on top of that, and refill the tank. It is a way to be able to soil to dirt a non-dirted tank without completely destroying it. So anyway, you might consider it. It's more than a little bit of effort to do it, so may not be a realistic option.
Right.
Vip and Barol. Did you see Vip and Barol?
The wattage of the heater?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I had a question above that. That's fine, but I was just, yep. That's in line. Of no, well, okay. I mean, it's just Mrs. Moose was asking if your thoughts on immersed plants. She says she had a few doing well, but she wondered if they eat up too much nutrients from the soil.
If they eat up too much nutrient from the soil.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's.
She's hitting you with some questions this morning, isn't she?
Eat up too much nutrient from the soil.
Yeah.
I've never even really considered the possibility. Actually, not as such. They will not eat up too much nutrition. Can they deplete the soil? I guess is the question. And sure, I guess they can. If you're doing a dirted substrate, it's unlikely that actually could happen. Also, since the waste and other matter from the tank is precipitating into it and enriching the soil. I don't know. You know, part of the motivation for people using fertilizer is to replenish the soil. And of course, that's not what fertilizer does. It doesn't replenish the soil. It adds certain specific chemicals to the soil that presumably are being excessively drawn out of the soil by certain kinds of plants. So again, as I said earlier, unless you know exactly what you're doing, unless you know the elements that are being used by the plants and the elements that the fertilizer is replacing, and if those two match or don't match, as the case may be, you know, knowing that is kind of fundamental to being able to use fertilizer. to begin with. I mean, you don't need to be replacing potassium if there's nothing growing in there that's using potassium or nitrate or whatever it is in whatever compounds and elements are in the fertilizer. Fertilizer is not dirt. Fertilizer is it's a chemical compound comprised of a number of very specific chemicals and compounds, which, when put in the soil, are done so to replace those very same chemicals that certain specific types of plants are removing from the soil. It's part of the reason just dumping fertilizer in the soil is one of the really effective ways of killing everything, because you typically don't know what you're doing. And if you do know what you're doing, God bless you on your way. I don't know what I'm doing. I wouldn't do it because I don't know enough about it and I don't understand it well enough to know precisely what elements the plants I'm growing are taking out of the soil. So I really don't know which ones to replace. I guess I could learn, but I've never found the need to. I've never experienced that kind of problem. Um, I don't know. I think I want to get to Vipin's question because it's so complex and convoluted and
Well, and there's
confusing.
again 2 questions in there, so there's a lot. It says, is the wattage of the heater dependent on the gallon of the water, gallon size of the water? How does the temperature affect the plants? I'm from India. After the water evaporates, do I top off with hard water or normal water? So there's 3 questions in there for you. So how do you figure out the wattage?
Well, okay. Yes, yes, and yes. Moving on.
Come on, give them a little more than that. I mean,
Is heater dependent? Wattage of heater dependent on gallon? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You need a more wattage for a bigger tank. Simply because you need to generate more heat to overcome ambient temperature. In the water volume, you need to heat a larger volume of water. Therefore, you need more heat to do that and to maintain it. Not just to heat it, but more importantly, to maintain it at that temperature. How does temperature affect the plants?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're aquatic plants, they like to be warmer. If they're plants from a colder climate, they probably still like to be warmer. Plants in general like to be warmer. They grow better when it's warm. That's why we put gardens in our yard in the summer and not in the winter, because they grow better in the warm than in the cold. And as to top off, yes, if you're able to do so, top off with RO water, spring water, distilled water, rainwater. Did I say rainwater twice? I don't know.
No, I don't
Spring water. I said spring water, yeah.
You said spring water, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to keep adding minerals. Here's the problem. There are actually three major lakes on planet Earth that are not capable of supporting fish. They do support shrimp. Guess why they do not support fish? Because the water in them is too hard. Why is the water too hard? Because water goes in, it evaporates, and nothing comes out. There are no little streams or rivers running out of these lakes. The water stays there. It bakes off. More water comes in, generally from limestone areas surrounding the lakes. And so they become denser and denser, and to the point where you can walk on the water virtually. I mean, it is so dense you float above the water level. Um, and they're not able to support typical fish life. They are, do you know the three? List the three. Let's see if you can get them all three. Do all three. See who's got all three.
We'll
Little
see who
comment.
has
There may be more. I'm not suggesting there are not more. There may be more. I know of three.
the names of the lakes. I see
The
two
names
in
of the
here.
lakes, or at least where they're located.
Chevy has Soda Lakes. Lee says the Dead Sea. We'll see. We got to give a little more time, see what comes in.
Soda Lake. I hadn't thought of Soda Lake. That's a fourth, actually. What else?
Okay, let's see. Salt
The
Lake
Dead Sea. We got
Salt Lake
Salt
Dead
Lake,
Sea,
right?
yeah, which Lee
Right.
said.
Salt Lake City. Right.
Yeah. And
It's another big one.
another big one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what we get from that one is we get spiraling algae. There's a clue. We get spiraling algae from that lake. At least that's where
Is
it's
it
covered.
Lake? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this Lake Arai, Arye, Arai. The Great Salt Lake.
I don't know Lake Arai, and I don't know the name of the lake, but it is in the Andes Mountains in South America.
Okay.
It's a lake where the flamingos nest.
Ooh.
If you've seen
So there must be shrimp there.
Well, there are shrimp. That's right.
There must be shrimp in this wonderful lake. Yeah.
Right. There are shrimp in the Salt Lake in
Yeah.
Utah. I don't know. I think there are also shrimp. Seems to me there's a shrimp collection facility there. Brine shrimp eggs available from the Dead Sea.
I'm just laughing at Brian's statement. You can buy Poland Springs water. Well, Poland Springs isn't too far from me. The actual Poland Springs where the company started.
There you go.
I live in Maine, so yeah.
Stick a pipe in the ground. Yeah, right.
So anyway, well, I don't see any more lakes coming in. So anyway.
What was that other one?
With that, or you just want another question?
Oh no, the one I didn't know about.
Well,
ARYE.
Yeah, I was like, is that? Yeah, I don't know.
Need to look that up.
Yeah. So you're still on. So let me know when you're ready for another question. I have a statement and then a question.
I just wanted to look it up and see where it is.
Yeah. You want me to read this little statement while you're looking that up?
It's in Australia.
Well, TJ's from Australia, so that makes sense. He would know.
North of Adelaide.
Yeah, north of Adelaide. Okay, cool. Bogey saying hi.
Drained by intermittent streams, it says. It's the largest lake in Australia. And presumably it has no fish life in it.
Hmm. Interesting.
All right.
All right, so I just want to read a little statement because it's just, a little testimonial statement. It says, Father Fish, this is from Bomb. Father Fish, my Cory with fin rot is almost healed after 2 weeks of tank on a diet. Thanks again for the upload. Was very, very useful indeed. So one of your videos helped.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Very good. Yeah. And then Egberto says, I have a 3,000 Kelvin lighting available. Will it, and then in parentheses is color time, okay? Will it significantly affect the growth of plants? Planning to put Amazon swords, crips, Hydrophilia stricta, and dwarf sedge in my dirty tank. So I guess he wants to know if that 3,000 Kelvin is the way to go. And
Don't know. You're just going to have to try it and see how it works.
yeah. I would say you're right there.
I would say it's a good choice, but try it and see.
Especially if you have it available to you. If you don't, I imagine it's an expensive light, I would assume. Oh, Mrs. Moose is just saying thanks for answering the question. She's a newbie. Well, awesome. Glad you're new to fish keeping. And then she says, we'll be doing all of the 4-inch soil substrate. Yep. she hopes that her fish will poop enough to feed her plants.
Yeah, Brian's question about Poland Springs.
Yeah. I mean, I literally live close to Poland Springs.
Well, you can do that. The problem with spring water is it contains virtually no carbonates and very low dissolved minerals. So you're going to have a hard time maintaining the pH in that water. You may need to add carbonates to it.
So, but was he using that just for a top off, or was he using it for his whole tank? I didn't read all of it. I'm just curious. I mean, would you think that would be bad as a top off?
To fill in your tanks. Well, he's saying to fill and use in your tanks.
Okay.
I would not, unless you need a tank with very, very low pH. I would not do it. You can use it as top off to cover evaporation. That would be fine.
Right. That's what I was thinking would be okay.
But if you need hard alkaline water, it's not going to help you a little bit.
Yeah. I'm just reading. Setting up a new tank. Our fantastic fish friend says, Father Fish, setting up a new tank. It will be 180-gallon planted tank. I would like to fully plant and cycle the tank with plants and biomedia for my currently overstocked 75-gallon tank. Any tips? Any tanks on setting up a 180-gallon planted tank with biomedia? Any special tips you might give for that?
I don't know what you mean by with biomedia. Are you using a capped deep substrate? What is the biomedia you're talking about?
Okay, so if you can answer that, then he might be able to help you more. So I'm looking. Oh, Fish and Shrimp by Rich says, Father Fish, cause and fix for poop hanging onto my quarries.
Say what?
Cause and fix for poop hanging on to my quarries. So they're going to the bathroom highly, but it's not detaching. They're swimming around the tank with their poop patch.
They're going to the bathroom, Kylie, but it's not detaching. They're swimming around the tank with their.
You got
There.
that? You got
Thank you.
cut off.
He got it. He got it.
Good morning, Lee. How are you?
Hello, Joey. Hello, Savannah Fish.
Hello, Lee. How are you?
Good to see you, Lee.
I'm
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste, yeah. I'm doing particularly very well. I just wanted to interject before the end of the stream and just send out some heartfelt warm kindness to everybody that has sent Sue and I their best wishes over the past month while she was suffering with the kung flu. It was a difficult time, and I would tell her each and every time anyone made a comment asking after her, and I think that truly helped her recovery. She's back at work now. She's not 100% fighting fit, but she's over it. She's back at work. She's back at the hospital, looking after other people that have got this horrible thing. And that was it. I just wanted to say thank you all so very much from the bottom of my heart. And Sue asked me to do this as well. I wasn't sure if I'd be up for it, but thank you all so very, very much. That's
Well,
it.
delighted to see you. Thank you so much for that.
And
Appreciate it.
Now,
You
before I
know,
go,
you know our real wishes are with you always.
before I go, do you like to hear a joke?
Yeah, then I've got a question. Yeah.
I was watching Joey's face when I said that. I haven't got any jokes. This is a really heartfelt, no jokes, just absolute pure delight. And thank you all so very, very, very much. And you all know who you are.
All right, I'm gonna get you now. Somebody just asked a question, and I want
can't see
you
the comments.
No, you're going to answer it because you are the master of poop control.
No.
Joey, what
Yes,
was
sir.
the question? What was the question?
The question was basically the corn cat swimming around with poop attached, and the poop won't detach. That's the basic question. Why are they? What is the problem, and how do they fix it?
A Corey.
A Cory cat. I mean, I know what I would say, but
Kidding.
I think it will just fall off in time. Maybe it hasn't finished yet. Sometimes I'm sitting in the toilet and I'm squeezing one out, and I think I've finished, and I haven't.
Okay, here we are. TMI. We can talk about it on a fish, but we just don't want to talk about it with you.
Why should it be any different for fish? Don't be shy. We all do it. We all go to the toilet, and I'm an expert at watching fish pooping. It'll fall off, and then another fish will come along and eat it.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
But I'm right though, aren't I? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Thank you, everyone. I love you all dearly, and so does Sue. So much.
We're excited about Sue's retirement in March.
March.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have plans. And I've said to her this time, if you change your mind, I'm going to go on my own.
Oh, my.
I've made an ultimatum, right? I know where we're going, and we know why we're going. And if she changes her mind this time, she's on her own. She can be homeless.
Bravo.
No, but I'm glad to hear she's doing so much better and back to work, Lee. It's great news.
Thank you.
Happy for both of you. Yes.
It's been lovely. You've really, all of you, have really helped us get through this.
That's good.
It was terrible. She's been working with COVID patients since back in March. No, actually before that, before it became knowledge, she was working, and right up until it was the 29th of December when she turned up at work and they'd run out of PPE that she contracted it. But it's not as bad as you might think.
Good.
Amen.
And I didn't catch it. And I was sleeping next to her.
Right.
I was sleeping next to her for the whole month and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
So
look
let's
at how
not
many
worry
people help, you know.
Let's not worry about the scaremongering that's on the mainstream media channels. Let's not worry about that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone
but
stay
you know what?
We'll get through it. We'll get through it, and we'll help each other get through it.
Yes.
So,
I mean, Sue's an amazing person to go in to work and put herself at risk to help others. Wonderful person.
Day after day.
Her
Day
head.
after day.
It's what she does, and she doesn't moan. It's just she gets. I mean, when she loses someone, you've got to understand this as well. Being a nurse, she gets to know the patients and the families, and their friends and the visitors. And when the unfortunate times come and someone does go, she comes home and it's really upsetting for her.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. And thank you all for being here for us too. It's been absolutely delightful. So I'm going to go now.
Well,
Before I start crying. Not that I do, because I'm an hard geezer, man. I've got to go. How do I turn it off before I embarrass myself? Oh no.
See you soon.
Here he goes, gonna banish himself. Oh, I'm glad to hear she's so much better, though. That's
yes.
So,
see, what do we do here?
Do you want to answer that poop question?
No.
Okay. All right.
We need to shut it down. I need to go. I've got some critical things I need to take care of.
Okay.
Tomorrow is Saturday. We will be on tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. It'll be a more family-oriented show. We'll be inviting people to come up to say hello, to get to know them a little better, to see their fish tanks.
Yeah, and
Saturday,
I think Roman said he might come up, right? Roman said he might come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm interrupting you because Glassbox Fox gave you a 99-cent super chat and pooped on your stream. Which is fun.
I missed it. There it is, right there. Thank you. Glassbox Fox, thank you. While we're talking about poop, huh?
Right, that's why they pooped on your stream. Hey, you got to make it fun, you know?
Really?
So,
love you all.
Anyway, sorry,
Okay.
but I think T-Bone's coming up. T-Bone's coming up on Sunday night too, right? So we're gonna have some visitors.
Yeah, I think so. Yep, that'll be fun.
So the weekend will be fun. Yeah.
Yes. Saturday and Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We'll see you then, and then Monday we'll be back here at 9 Eastern time in the morning.
And thank you, Chevy Fish and Lori, for dropping links and being awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you guys.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish.
Give me a bug.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
Love you all.
Little break.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Bye all. Take
That
care.
one, Dave.